Welcome to my updated Succession Witch PvP guide. I know it's been a long time coming, and initially I really didn't feel like making a new one, but a lot of people kept asking, and it's true that some stuff in my old one is outdated, so I decided to finally make it happen. In the first part, I will go over what changed since my last video, and then give the usual rundown on skills, movement, combos, and gearing. A small disclaimer, this guide will be large-scale focused. Reason number one is that I only really play large-scale and suck at everything else. And secondly, the class has been kinda getting worse and worse kit-wise for 1v1 and small scale. This will also not be a complete beginner's guide, so I will not explain all the details about this class, just the PvP relevant ones. If you've never played Succession Caster before, I'd suggest tagging her for PvE first and getting familiar with the skill inputs and everything. So some general things about this class. Succession Witch has 10% SA DR. We have 2 long-range iframes. And then we have also quite a nice balance of SA skills, frontal guard skills, and unprotected skills. We are considered a range class, which in today's meta is also quite nice. Unfortunately, we don't really have that many range skills, so if you want to keep up the pressure, you will eventually have to use your melee AoEs. So you spam your range shit and then teleport in and then do your melee skills. We used to be quite good at kiting, and also we had a lot of stuff that we could mouse move, but that's gone, and our kiting has also been a bit nerfed. So keep that in mind. So what changes were actually made since my last guide? I think the whole DR evasion patch happened, then also some PvE balancing and some small PvP balancing. Okay, unless you have slept under a rock, the class modifiers got also reworked. And if you remember, Succession Caster together with DK had one of the worst average modifiers against other classes in general. So what that means now is that unfortunately we deal mediocre damage to everyone. But the bright side is that classes that previously did giga damage against us now also deal average damage. Another thing is that accuracy rate on skills got removed. This was actually huge for us because we suffered heavily from low accuracy rates on skills. So gearing against evasion players is no longer an issue. Now let's check out the skills that got changed. We basically lost all DR self buffs. So if you remember, Sage's Light had a magic DP buff that's gone. And most importantly, the 20 DR self buff of Earth Eruption is gone. And also the DR self buff after teleport is gone. Also slows got reworked. So Succession Caster was known for its slows. The whole shock effect that you had on lightning skills, that's still there, but it got heavily nerfed. I think it's now at 20% slow and only for like 5 seconds, so nothing compared to what it used to be. Also, for a weird reason, the mana absorb, let's just find it here, it no longer recovers more mana when you hit something. I don't know why they changed it, but that's also a thing. Then also the red orb got removed and turned into a passive. That's actually quite huge, because now if you have the blue orb out and watch my mana bar, when I now use the Q buff, the mana increases for like the whole duration where Q is up. So that means you will no longer run out of mana when you are getting hit doing the Q buff. Unfortunately, the damage you absorb via mana is now 10% instead of 30%, but it's still something. You can use Magical Shield now in like every content, and you don't have to inflate your mana with extra Lightstone set or something like that. It's just you have the blue orb out and then everything is Gucci. Then the biggest change that happened is we got super armor on our dash, but in the worst way possible, because for some reason PA gave us the wizard dash. So we no longer blink, we no longer disappear for other players. It's just a stupid small SA dash. Another thing that happened is we got 2 new prime skills, like the prime variant of the lightning chain. And also a lot of people keep asking like what version to take. Short answer, it doesn't really matter, but I'll go over them in more detail when I explain all the skills. So let's actually go over the skills real quick. Our multiple magic arrows still functions the same. So if you use it normally, it looks like this. And if you see this, you basically did something wrong. You only want to cast it after other skills, and then it does a lot more damage. So if you use it after a fire skill, you get down attack damage. If you use it after a lightning skill, it just comes out a bit more quickly. If you use it after an ice skill, you could potentially get a down smash. And if you use it after an earth skill, you get a frontal guard. And the frontal guard after the earth skill is, I came to really like it, because when you are kiting and you do your earth's response, you can basically use a quick frontal guard in any direction if you just move the camera during the lingering of the earth's response. Okay, actually you have to be a bit more quickly, but you get the idea. Then our earth arrow, it's still one of our most important catches. It's an AoE stiff that also does, it applies the minus magic DP debuff and does decent damage. So if you are comboing someone, you want to make sure you have that on them. Then our fireball, as you can see, I have it locked. It's also a catch, but I don't know, I feel like we have enough unprotected skills already and I have it locked, so it's one less skill to worry about. Every time I would need it, then also Earth Arrow is up, so yeah, whatever. But if you are a wizard, you of course want to use it because you can reduce the cooldown of your meteor. Then our Fireball Explosion, it's an AoE knockdown. It's decently fast. Of course it's a bit risky, but it's the only really knockdown we have, and we need it in basically all of our combos. Then the meteor situation. Now I exclusively now use the focus meteor, the quick one, because without it you do so much less damage. I mean, the aerial meteor is nice for like pre-engages and niche situations, but I feel like these situations are so rarely and it doesn't really pay off using it anymore. Then the new skills that got added. The first one is just a stream of light that comes out in front of you. And you also don't have a gap if you cast other skills in after it. The second one also has a frontal guard, but you have a gap if you cast other skills after it. So as you can see, they have an extremely long cooldown of 25 seconds, and also they don't really do that much damage, except maybe the diffuse one, because it also has a down attack. But I mean, it's a frontal guard with a gap, so I don't know, you can't really use it that often. So in the situations where I use this skill is basically when I need a frontal guard and Blizzard is not up, so when I'm against a wall or something and I need a frontal guard. You can actually cancel out of them with like teleport and your dash, so that's quite huge. But other than that, you could ignore the skills and it wouldn't make a difference. Now this one right here is another frontal guard that you can hold by just pressing the key input, and then you can also rotate it a bit. Now rotating it is of course a bit desyncy, so if you have like a Musa dashing towards you and you think like you outplay him by just rotating the frontal guard, like half the time it won't work, but in theory it works, and it's also quite nice when you are up somewhere and you like just look around, wait for a raid to pass by or something, and you're blocking like enemy rangers or something like that. Also, now because we have this spell pocketing thing, something you can do is you can hold it and then dash a bit more towards your enemies. So, and you also don't lose the skill. But unfortunately, the range of our dash got nerfed heavily, so it's not that useful anymore. Then our lightning, this is our stun. Oh, never mind that. That was the 100%. I'll get to that later. But this is our stun. It's quite quick. Pretend you didn't see that. So you can do some shenanigans by teleporting behind your enemy and stun them really quick. So generally you wanna use R&B right after it, because it's an instant super armor, which also lingers quite nicely. But of course, if you aren't focused, you can of course, I don't know, combo into something else. But generally, that's the play. There is also some dynamic here between these lightning skills that's a bit confusing to newer players. So if you remember, Succession Witch has these auto-casting thingy where if you cast a skill and then keep holding R and B or F, other skills come out. You generally should never do this because all of the skills that come out are being slow cast. But this lightning combo is the only exception to that rule. So you have two ways of casting these skills. You can start by either Shift C or with SF. So, and then the thing is, if you do Shift C, then the second skill will be the combo and the third skill will be SF. And if you start with SF, the second skill will be the combo and the third skill will be Shift C. Another thing is that the residual lightning combo has normal attacks and it has extra attacks. The extra attacks make the duration of the super armor longer, but the downside is that the next skill after this skill, there will be a gap between the two skills. I'll show you what it looks like with Bolide. So this time we will do the whole duration. And as you could see, there was a small gap between the two super armors. And if we cancel it early by just pressing the next skill input, we close the gap completely. So this means if you start with SF and then hold R&B until this skill pops out, there will be a gap between the super armor and this frontal guard. And if you're just doing like range damage, like shooting down a ranger from a wall or something, in most cases it's better to start with like Shift and C, because then there's no gap, and then you also cancel it and go right into Bolide, so you don't have gaps. That's generally the safer option. And if you just need the extra damage because you're casting down from something into a raid, then of course you can just go by SF and then casting the whole animation. So let's continue. The next skill is Prime Freeze. I use it when I can do some safe range damage and I just throw it in for some extra damage. I also use it when I have like an enemy CC'd, he's like half health and I don't have another re-CC ready, then I just use Freeze as a re-CC. Just keep in mind that while he is in the frozen state, you will do like jack shit damage to them because they get like a 50% DR buff or something like that. So while he's frozen, you can generally chill a bit, and then when he's on the ground again, you can do damage to him again. Continuing with the Frigid Fog, this is one of our most important range damage skills. So if you get an opponent on the ground, you will follow it up as soon as possible with this skill, because it's like, it's a protected frontal guard and range damage. Now, Blizzard, as you remember, we used to be able to mouse move this skill, but it's no longer possible. So it's really, really unsafe to fully cast this now in large scale. There's some ways you can cancel out of it. The first is with teleport. This is generally the safest option. I actually was never CC'd in Blizzard when I cancelled out of teleport. So like even in the middle of the blob you can pull this off. I don't know really why, but that's the safest play. You get a few hits of Blizzard and then you port away. The second option is with your Earth's Response. This is a bit less safe because it's just SA, and if you are already low health, you will just get blasted in this SA. And lastly, there's a niche way where you can pseudo rotate the frontal guard if you cancel it with mana absorb. This looks like this. But I don't know, that's the last resort. Okay, let's continue with our lovely SA movement skills. Earthquake Evade and Earth Response Destruction. Earthquake Evade is also quite nice because sometimes you will get some niche catches, because let's say this guy is throwing frontal guard stuff at me and then maybe I get a sneaky stiff by Earthquake evading behind him. Just keep in mind that this skill has a very short SA, so it doesn't linger at all. And you will feel this because you will desync after it quite often. So it's always be ready to cast something protected after Earthquake Evade. The safest option is to use Bolide, because then you can safely follow up on a stiffen that you get, but most of the time Bolide is not ready, so just be prepared to maybe throw a frontal guard or something like that, because if you're kiting in the middle of the raid, you will of course get like blasted by a lot of stuff, and then you also can't follow up on the stiffen, so just keep that in mind. If you don't have Bolide up after Earthquake Evade, then just ignore the stiffen. Then the Earth Response Destruction. This is our lingering SA. You will use this all the time. A nice thing, they fixed like the falling thingy, so you can use Earth Response now from like a high ground. It's not on the Earthquake level, so you can use Earthquake from way up and you will not get a falling animation, but you can now use Earth Response on rocky terrain. like I think even this height will still work. Now our Magnus skill, this is our chiller super armor. You can use this like basically all the time. When you feel like it, you need a super armor. You can cancel out of it early with teleport, or you can cast a full animation. And the last hit does actually decent damage. And if you're lucky, like, I don't know, someone floats enemies around you, the last hit also has air attack on it. Okay, this right here is our E-buff. It decently boosts our damage. Now for the Bolide and Voltaic Pulse question, I think you will exclusively now use Bolide because our super armor dash got shortened in length. And you basically can't dash behind people to like Voltaic Pulse them anymore, and you can't mouse move your teleport behind, so yeah, rip Voltaic Pulse. Then Aqua Jail and Equilibrium Break, it's just personal preference. You take either a super armor or a frontal guard. This super armor also has like no linger, so also be ready to cast other skills after it. And you will, even if you hold the skill input of another skill, you will still get desynced CC'd from it. The same with like Earthquake Erase. It's just a thing that will happen. Okay, continuing with the secondary skills, I don't think I have to explain a whole lot. Our teleports, like pull them on cooldown slots and keep an eye on them. This one is our mass teleport. You can port people that are in your party or platoon with you. It's 4 extra people, and there are some niche applications for it. Like if you are on a rock and you port people inside a base or something like that, you also travel a long distance horizontally, so you don't fall down. You actually travel quite far. Or you just use it to disengage from a dangerous situation. Dagger Step, you can't use it because Magnus skill has the same input. Magical Shield I explained earlier, it's now nice to use all the time when it's up. Mana Absorption is a nice frontal guard that you can use after pretty much every skill by just pressing spacebar. It's nice for getting some mana back and yeah, while kiting. Resurrection has no use cases. Speed Spell is our pre-buff. We give like movement and casting and attack speed to allies and ourselves. You don't really use this for yourself anymore because Bolide has a movement. Bolide has a casting speed self buff with 20%, and this one also is only 20%. So yeah, you don't need this for yourself anymore, but it's nice for, like, I don't know, if you run with the raid or if you give your raid like extra attack speed. These are our healing skills. This one you can cast at single targets, or like if they are like stacking together, you can also heal multiple, but it's only a small AoE, like a range AoE. And then this one is does heals around you, but like both are unprotected, so be smart about using them. Yeah. Generally, you should also use them because like there are other classes that can SA heal, like, and that's important, like in the middle of a fight. And if there is no fight happening and you see your platoon has like low health, please use your heals and don't waste the heals of actually like SA healing classes. And then this is your protected area. It gives like 50% DR to yourself and allies, and this is kind of neglected a bit because not a lot of casters still exist, and also not many Valks are around, so generally no one will call for PAs anymore. So yeah, use them smartly. Solo PAing, like only giving yourself PA and then jumping into raid, is generally frowned upon. If the situation allows it, just go towards your allies and cast PA. So when you see on the minimap like a raid is moving towards you, cast PA, or when you are about to engage something, go near your allies, cast PA, and then like go ham. This I explained earlier. Blue Op has now a passive where if you use Magical Shield after it, it will increase your mana pool. Sage's Memory is also a passive, and then of course Magical Evasion has now super armor. Skill all your passives, of course. The Node War skill got removed. And in the Rabam skills, I suggest everyone to use Rabam Heal. It's still really fast. Cast it in the middle of a raid, heal all your allies and yourself, and then port away. This is our last resort super armor. I really rarely use it anymore, but sometimes there's a situation where I need an SA and nothing else is up. So put it on a, I mean, if you want, you can use it also via the input, but I have it on a hotkey. Okay, let's get to the movement part of this guide. Now we have 3 SA movement skills and 2 iframes, and then also a backup iframe. The SA movement skills being your Earthquake, then also your Earth's Response, then your SA Dash, and the 2 teleports. And as a backup teleport, the mass teleport if it's up. In large scale, it's still really important that you use your SA movement to reposition. It's just that I tend to use my teleports quite a bit more often than I used to, and that's just because I get like blasted so much in my SAs. So in the past, if you could get away with an SA movement skill, you would use that instead of a teleport, but nowadays if teleport is up, like use teleport. Having your health bar higher is more important than like having a teleport up. So if you're just starting out on this class, I would advise you to put on the defense icon and then just trying to chain SA skills together so you always stay in SA. So something like this. It's just that you get like used to cooldowns and basically get a feeling of when your skills are up. So when you are in a situation where you need to get away from someone, in general, you also want to try to CC him. Something you can do is dash away and then try to break his ankles with like Earthquake Evade, and maybe you get a stiffen. Or the obvious thing, you port in a different direction and then try to CC him with like Fireball Explosion or with Bullet. And yeah. If you are in a situation where you need to dodge grabs, don't use Earthquake Evade, because you don't actually move back instantly. It seems like that your hitbox is still at the previous position and you will get grabbed out of this skill like all the time. So a better option, of course, is to use your teleport to get away if you are quick enough, or also like double magical evasion backwards or something like that. Another thing with magical evasion is you can be hit staggered in it quite often. So if you are in a ball fight and you do like this, a lot of times you will be hit staggered in your shift A, and then you do a triple dash where the next dash is unprotected. So a better option is to do like shift S, and with this I've found out that I don't get hit staggered so often. If you need to disengage really quickly, something you can do is you can cancel the stiffen part of the earthquake evade with magical evasion. This is also useful if you go like down a slope or something like that. This looks like this. If you are just moving with your rate and there are like no enemies on the minimap, it's best to not waste your movement skills, especially your teleports. Just make sure you have your blue orb out, you put your weapons away, and then just you run. And here it is important that you have the teleport on your hotkey, because what you can do is you run and then press the hotkey and you have your weapons out. Another skill you can do this with is this thing right here. And yeah, that's how you transition from running to having your weapons out. Okay, let's actually talk a bit about positioning during like a blob fight. Let's say this is your raid, you are running towards some objective, or you are grouping or something, and then an enemy raid pushes into you. Now, generally what will happen is that enemy rats will try to get CCs and bombers will try to kill your squishies. Your raid will do the same. And then there's like fighting done here and here. And here are generally all the tanks. So where do you want to be? This depends a bit if you have PA up or not, and also if you have your 100% up or not. So let's say you are in the beginning, somewhere in the middle of the raid. If you have your PA up, you want to cast PA, then double teleport into the enemy blob, somewhere where there are a lot of squishies. Then you will try to CC with something like Bolide, or if you are feeling lucky with like Fireball Explosion, and then you cast your 100% and try to get kills. If you don't have PA up, you want to reposition somewhere on the side. And then you try to like get CCs or range damage towards targets. And then if you are getting focused, you like want to reposition again, like more towards your team or more towards the opponent's team if you are winning the engage. What you don't want to do is if you're in the middle, you want to reposition farther back and cast into the rats that are engaging, because generally they are like faster than you and you will just get focused more quickly. So generally position somewhere on the sides if you don't have PA up. Okay, let's get to the combo part. I'm really hesitant to give you guys exact combos, because especially in large scale, there is like no way in hell that all of your skills are up when you actually need them. So that's why I'm just going to explain the basic concept. So your main CC skills, where you then actually also deal damage, is Bolide and Fireball Explosion. Bolide is a bound, so that means if you get a CC with Bolide, you generally only have time to do like 2 skills, and then you need a re-CC. Now the best re-CC would be Fireball Explosion, because it's a knockdown, so there's a long grounding state, and then you can throw a lot more stuff at them. And also almost all of your skills have down attack, so yeah, that's where your damage comes from. So a basic CC chain would look something like this. So yeah, you just throw out all your range skills that are up, and while doing so, also keep watch of your surroundings, because of course people will try to peel and CC you in your frontal guards or unprotected skills. So what do you do if you get like a grounding CC with Fireball Explosion or Bullet and the other skill isn't up to re-CC? So in large scale, this doesn't really happen that often, because a lot of times your opponents will be CC capped anyways because of other people's grounding CCs, and you shouldn't really worry about a re-CC because you don't have a protected one. Apart of course from Bullet, but that's a bit a grief because it's only a bound. But if you are on the side somewhere, or you are forced into some kind of 1v1, you have some options with either a stiffen into a stun, or like a freeze as a last resort. This is not that easy because you need to get the timing right. So here I was a bit too early. And you basically need to hit the stun or stiff right when he's getting up again. So this is something you need to get used to. It also depends a bit on your casting speed when your skills are ready, and yeah. Okay, another thing Succession Witch can do is we can play a bit as a bomber with our 100%. It's on the SF skill, so this one right here, and as you can see, it actually deals quite a bit of damage because it also has like down attack. And while like you cast this and other people get like floated or something like that, it also does air attack, so that's actually giga damage, but that rarely happens. So to pull this off, you want to have PA up, because this is a rather long super armor skill, and if you don't have PA up, you will just die in your 100%, because you want to cast this in like the middle of as many people as possible. Another thing is that the 100% has no crit rate, so it only has critical hit rate in PvE, and that means that you want to stack crit rate buffs before using it as well. I have mine on Meteor, so generally this is my like quote-unquote pre-buff for the ulti, and then also our E-buff gives crit rate, and then of course the skill itself, because of the rage absorb thingy, also gives crit rate, and that's enough. Also you want to cast this when people are on the ground, because of course of the down attack modifier. Okay, so the whole thing looks like this. You wanna cast your E-buff, you wanna get your add-ons up, and then you cast PA, you reposition, get a grounding CC, and then cast your ulti, and then everything dies. Using Bullet is the safer option, but of course Fireball Explosion is better because then people are on the ground longer. But that's really risky, so you pop like PA and then get ready for your ulti, and if you get then CC'd, that's not that nice. So high risk, high reward kind of thing. So the safer option is Bullet. So although the ulti does a lot of damage, I don't think it justifies that you are getting rage fed. Just because you can only really use it when you have PA up, and that's like every 3 minutes. So don't feed rage, keep it for yourself, but also don't ask for rage. So I think that's everything regarding like gameplay. If you have, of course, specific questions or you don't understand something correctly, just drop a comment below and I'll try to answer it. And with that, let's get into the gearing part. Now, Succession Witch, we generally play as a damage dealer. That means we don't care about too much defense, but I think the Frozen Bitterness and Max HP crystals are like so good value that you wanna use them. So currently there aren't that many evasion players around, so you can pretty much disregard accuracy crystals unless the meta for you is different or something changes in the future. You can run around with like one accuracy Han or more if you see a lot of misses, or if you do some testing against some opponents and you feel like you do more damage with them, then sockle them in. But currently I run one or none. And if I am in a situation where I need more, I just throw in more. For your artifacts, you want to have the Wild Humans Lightstone set. So with the recent changes, I mean, it's not that recent anymore, but they basically made human damage, or rather extra AP against adventurers, the same as AP. So it's no longer 0.8, it's like 1-to-1. So this is really good value for AP, and you don't gain any negative effects. For Capped, it's a bit different. There you want to use the Crocodile's Tooth Lightstone set because of the high down attack damage, and most of your damage comes from down attacks. Yeah, also for Capped, you can like run Asadile belt and necklace. The belt is really, really nice, so use it to get more rich quickly. The necklace is only really useful in like T2 and Capped Siege. In T1 with like only 6000 HP, yeah, generally you are good enough using your potions and you don't really need the necklace. Just quickly, the other caps, I mean, you can also find this in my Garmoth linked down below. For tier 1, you don't need any HP. You just throw in additional stats like HP recovery, jump height, more attack speed. Yeah. And also stamina is nice. I mean, yeah, it's really whatever. T1 caps are so low, you can experiment around how you like it. For T2, you want a bit more HP, so that you reach the cap, and then like the same reasoning as in T1, and then for Capped Siege, you wanna giga focus on HP. Lastly, concerning the add-ons, these are my uncapped add-ons. These are also exclusively for large scale and my playstyle, so be smart about when copying them. And if you are thrown into more 1v1 situations, maybe you wanna swap out some stuff and use like Earth Arrow or some of the lightning stuff for add-ons. The general idea is that I get crit rate pre-buff and also accuracy. So if I use Meteor, this is always up until I use it the next time. Then I get my damage reduction up because I use this skill defensively. And also it has a lot of hits, so if I use it in the middle of the raid, HP regen add-on makes sense in my opinion. Same with Earthquake. Then I use Frigid Fog to debuff, and then of course these two are my main CC skills, so I have like damage focused add-ons on them. My capped add-ons look exactly the same, except I have back attack damage instead of damage reduction on Earthquake. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I've thrown together the guide a bit more quickly than I would have liked to, so I didn't really have an outline. And also sorry if I ramble a bit too much. It's more meant as a follow-up video if you've already seen my previous guides and need an update. So I didn't really explain everything again. Just I tried to give my current perspective. So if you don't understand something, I would suggest you to watch the previous guide, or like I said, ask questions in the comment section. And also, if we get some class balancing stuff in the upcoming global labs, I will let you guys know in the comments. And you can, of course, also always check out the Witch Wizard Discord for general questions. Okay, take care. Bye.